men generally wear the clothes and the styles that they wore when they felt their most sexually confident, and it kind of sticks with them. So, you know, we all know that kind of 60-year-old man who slightly has that 70s vibe. We all know the sort of maybe 50-year-old man who still feels the power suit is important. You know, it's quite interesting. If you now look at men around you, you might think, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And I think what women tend to do is they hold on to a makeup which they wore, which was the first makeup that made them feel present. So it could be that it was the era when there was, you know, late 90s and it was bronze, 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 that a bronzer makes them feel alive. But maybe, you know, having gone down the path of life a few years, that bronzer is actually flattening their already perhaps softened features because our skin has changed shape. So is bronzer the right way, or would you be better off with a really gentle contour and lovely blush? So you give a definition to your face and you bring it back in perspective and you don't flatten it, and you don't, you know, and the color that you first chose, which you felt made you bronzed, is actually a color that perhaps now might make you feel a bit orange or a bit yellow or a bit whatever your skin tone. So I think tweaks can really help. And another classic one is a lot of women maybe who had a thinner eyebrow, and because they over plucked, you know, there was that kind of, you know, I would be in the 80s, 90s on the telephone and I would pluck my brows as I chatted to friends and they nearly all disappeared. I did a lot of work to get my brows back. I from castor oil to peptides, rubbing them in, you know, microneedling, God knows what. You've got a magnificent brow, by the way.
You work with color really well in how you dress, with makeup. We really see the transformation. What do you think is the magic of color?
I know from research, I wrote a few books, and one of the books I wrote is What You Wear Can Change Your Life. And in that, I spent about 6 months researching color. And I'd grown up in the 70s with Color Me Beautiful. You know, are you autumn, spring, summer, or winter? It was like this old fashioned book. And I remember my sister, half sister, became a Color Me consultant, and she did my colors, and I was autumn. And I sort of for a bit wore those colors, and you know, my hair changed and other things. And I was like, these colors are shit on me. You know, this doesn't work. So I always felt that when I look at somebody for makeup, and like we do Match Me on Trinny London, which is actually refining your color choices, and the same applies to clothing as much as it applies to makeup, is it's a combination of your skin, hair, and eye, and the hair around your face. You could have long hair, which is dark here and very blonde at the end. So basically, you're a sort of blonde, even though at the bottom of your hair you might be a blonde. So taking those combinations, I look at, are you sort of cool, mid, or new, or warm? You know, that's a kind of very easy spectrum. So most women can look in a mirror and think, the hair is the easiest thing. You know, is my hair a cool blonde or a warm blonde? Is it towards platinum, or has it got sort of honey bits in it? You know, is my brown warm and tawny, or is it cool and dark?
You created a brand that's really focused on hybrid technology. And I think that that's really interesting because we're all looking for things that can do that can deliver multiple benefits. Why did you focus on creating a product that is accessible to everyone?
Because I've spent many, many years in, you know, the makeover world, and I've, you know, worked with a tremendous amount of makeup brands, and I've tried for my sort of journey with acne thousands of skincare brands. And I think that there is a lot in the beauty world that perhaps needs to evolve. There's a lot of chat about ingredients which are at marketing levels and they aren't functional levels. You know, I kind of know enough about skincare to know that I pick up a formula and they might spend ages on the smell and how it feels on your skin, but you look at the inky list at the back and you know actually the levels of ingredients are really low and they're just there so they can say that they contain this, contain that. But will it have any impact on your skin? No, it would just make you feel your skin's nice. It might have some nice silicones in it and you'll feel plumped, but is it doing anything? Not really. So when we look at, you know, I was looking, when I developed Trinny London, the first product I developed actually was called BFF. And it's because I wanted women to wear SPF. And I wanted women to wear a product that they were sort of wearing because it made their skin come alive and evened it out.
I want to ask you about cortisol and stress. You actually got COVID. And I want to ask you, What did that increased stress level, how did it impact your face, your life?
Well, when you're very stressed, and we can all be stressed for a number of reasons. We can have emotional stress, we can have physical stress, we can have stress from illness. You know, the stress releasing hormone is cortisol, and it rushes through your body and it ends up on your epidermis. And when it's on your epidermis, it dehydrates you, because you know when you get a dry mouth when you're really stressed, that's kind of what it's doing on your skin, and it causes inflammation. My skin feels like it's in an inflammation state. You know, that's, I think, the feeling you get from having excess cortisol and having a lot of stress in your life, and you feel exhausted, and because you're dehydrated, your skin, that feeling of exhausting is exacerbated because there's no moisture to plump up your skin, and you kind of feel, you know, that plumpness to your skin goes. That's the only way I can probably describe it.
And what do you do to manage that stress outside of beauty?
So I do a lot of things now, because I think it's very, very important to manage stress. And I think stress is, you know, a precursor to not being well in your body. You know, it's that first sign. There are many ways we can get ill in our life, but I think if you are under undue stress, you can then have sort of adrenal overdrive, which actually will affect you physically and not be a very good state for your body to be in, and can lead to many things. So I take a lot of adrenal support, because I know my adrenals are being really, you know, pushed, and I know I push myself every day. So I need to support my body, because I'm not going to stop working as hard as I work, but I need to manage how I look after my body.
Are you doing any biohacking? Do you take supplements?
I rattle. I take about 16 supplements a day. I take 3,000 milligrams of liposomal vitamin C a day. I read a book years ago from a man who wrote a big research document on vitamin C and how incredible it was for many things, you know, as a sort of preventative thing. So I've got up once to 6,000 milligrams a day. And I think you have to be careful, because you can always poo it out the other side very quickly. But liposomal can be absorbed very well, because a lot of people take just a pill, and so much that pill gets eaten up in their stomach acid, and they don't really then get the benefits of vitamin C. And then a lot of people say, why don't you just eat things with vitamin C in it? Great, if you live on a bloody farm, because if you're not on that actual farm and you buy from your supermarket, you know, 50% of the nutrition that you will get, the supplemental vitamin nutrition, is gone. And by the time you cook it or do things with it, it's gone even more.
Can I ask you, when did you know you were beautiful?
Oh, fuck, that's such an interesting question, because probably from 13 to 30, I felt I was so goddamn ugly. I mean, from zero to 30. Because when I was younger, I was very insecure, found it very difficult to make friends. So nobody's ever saying to you, you're utterly gorgeous. I just felt socially inept and didn't feel that. And then when I was 13, I got very bad acne, and it lasted till I was 30. So I would go to restaurants. I remember when I went on dates when I was sort of 18, 19, and I would choose a restaurant where it wasn't overhead lighting, because I was so aware of how bad my skin was, you know, and I'd make sure it was soft lighting. I remember really sort of like changing the restaurant location. So, you know, and I remember I wouldn't want to go like on a walk in the park with somebody where my skin was bad, because I'd feel there's so much light to show how bad my skin was. I felt people talk to my spots. So when you have that for sort of 17 years, you don't feel appealing. You know, it can have such an impact on your confidence. And my daughter has occasional little spots, and it doesn't bother her one bit. She doesn't have at all what I had, but it doesn't bother her, you know. And I then took Roaccutane when I was 30 for a year. I did first with the National Health in England, and they put me on very low dosage. It didn't work. And then I paid for it. And I remember it was half my salary. It cost me I was earning £1,200 a month, and it cost me £600 a month to do it. And I remember I moved back in with my parents so I could pay for it, because I was so desperate to sort out my skin.
Do you have any go-to hacks when you're feeling down or you're not feeling beautiful, things that instantly lift you?
So 3 things I do when I'm feeling low. I get out, and I don't have it here, my beauty tapper. It's this long bamboo tapper, and I just tap my head. I want to tap the shit out my head, and I just tap. I tap on my arms, tap on my legs. I get the energy flowing around, because I think, you know, when we feel low, our energy needs to be woken up. So that's one physical way you can do it. If I haven't got the tap around me, I'll slap myself all over my body, and I'll go down the inside of my thigh and up the back, and I'll slap here and slap here, slap my tummy, you know, and just you feel like that. And then I do something that a lovely one called Katie Brindle taught me, which we did a lot on lockdown, but I will laugh for 1 minute. All right. And it's the weirdest thing. And I won't ask you to do it now. If you did have your voice, I would say, let's laugh for a minute. But you force yourself laughing at the beginning. It's really weird.